welcome to our one-shot. It's going to be a really special one here. We are reviewing the legendary Spawn #1. I'm Gabe here, accompanied with Ajax, of course, as always, in the other driver's seat. And we got a fun one, man. This is the one that I put together and, sent to you many months ago, and I was like, we got to review this, and I'm happy it's finally happening. I like when we knock out some, iconic books.
Mm-hmm.
And see what the hype was all about back in 1992. I have the first printing of this.
Yep.
And not only is it the first printing, in a Wizard magazine, they were talking about this Malibu Comics that was signing on all these artists. And they announced people like Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee. All these people were signing on with Malibu Comics to put out stuff. That would soon turn into Image Comics, you know?
Yep.
But in my first printing, it says right there, Malibu Comics.
It sure does.
Right in the bottom there. And the back of the book, before we get into the inside, is advertising all the cool new Image titles, but it's also advertising Batman and Spider-Man that you can order from the distributor. So it's very cool. I have a Spawn book here, but in the back I can order Infinity War. And Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
What a time, man. What a time. By the way, this is dedicated to Jack Kirby, which I think is very cool.
Yes, it is.
And I see that Todd actually mentioned that there, too, how important it was for him to dedicate this to Jack Kirby, which I think is very, very nice.
I should mention to the audience, I am screen sharing the 25th anniversary edition director's cut that Todd did of issue 1 of Spawn.
Yes.
Which comes with the black and white inks, and then commentary notes with Todd breaking down each panel, such and such and such.
Yes. And it looks beautiful. It looks amazing. You can still see it's on, the paperboard that it was drawn on, which I think is very cool. I like that a lot. And a lot of this stuff Todd showed off, too, on that little documentary he just did, going through his studio, which I think was very cool. He still has the splash page that's in this book. He has the original art piece of that, which I think that's cool. I love that.
It is.
What I think too is interesting there about yours. I don't know if you noticed something. You see where it says your little printing there. It shows questions with the Spawn logo. I don't know if in later printings it's printed like that, but in the original printing, the Spawn logo looks different. It is like a beaten down logo. You see how it looks like a belt buckle that's chipped off, kinda.
So it's funny that you say that, Gabe, because if you look here, it says inside front cover.
Mm-hmm.
Todd actually talks about the logo and how there's two different versions of the logo.
Oh, it says here, on one version the logo had a smudge on it, and the other version the logo is perfectly fine. People have asked me which version is more rare, but it was a pretty even split. But for those of you who are completists out there, there are actually two versions of the first issue. So I wonder if the other first issue doesn't have the Malibu Comics printing trademark in there. I'm curious about that. I'm curious.
It's possible.
Damn, am I going to have to get my hands on another Spawn #1? Well, in this opening page here, we see a beautiful image of space and different planets. Well, actually, it's all Earth, but from different points of view. And we hear who we soon learn, it's Al Simmons, speaking to himself here, saying that he doesn't belong there and he shouldn't be here, not now. He says he has to get back. He goes, the bet was rigged. He made me believe. Now there's darkness in my soul. I want to die again. And these next two pages following that are two obvious, and they'll probably mention this, homages to Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. We get... So in your black and white book, it doesn't show, but that first picture with the cross on the building, on mine, it is the lightning bolt from Dark Knight Returns striking in the back with the silhouettes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, and then on the next page, we get the iconic Frank Miller news broadcasts with totally copywritten logos, which I still don't know how Frank or Todd got away with this. I was like, all right, maybe Frank in the 80s got away with it because it was the 80s. All right, this is mid-90s. Motherfuckers are getting sued for this stuff. Come on. This is like, come on.
Yeah, straight up it says CNN.
And it's not
It's
even
like,
like a
what?
modified logo. That's just the CNN logo.
Yeah.
So in this, we see the news reporter talking about Al Simmons and how Al Simmons was his funeral services were being held that day after his passing in the military. He saved. It says here, Simmons is best known for his courageous involvement in the saving of the president from assassination attempt. Simmons rose through the ranks of the Marine Corps following his service overseas. His memory was honored by both president and vice president, as well as hundreds of officers from all of the armed services. So it really explains how important Al Simmons was. He wasn't just any other soldier. He was a very important soldier for not only the government, but for people that wanted to join the military. He was a very high-ranking individual who had a loving wife. Wanda was his loving wife that he had at his side. And they're saying, she was there, she was getting supported by friends and family. And then we cut down to this other place called My View on 2. Yeah. And this guy is like a conspiracy nut. And like he thinks it's something going on with like the government covering it up, and there's a bunch of bullshit going on kinda, and yeah, he's having a whole bunch of conspiracy theories that just don't line up.
And he's like, what about those Youngblood guys, huh? What
about
those guys?
They mention Youngblood a lot in this book.
They do, yeah.
They hammered in Youngblood was a big part of Spawn's history early on. Until Todd decided it was not.
Well, not necessarily Todd. It was Rob.
It was Rob,
More
but
so
now,
Rob. Yeah.
and it's come full circle because guess who's back at Image? Rob and Youngblood.
Yep.
Oh man. But then we get this third news anchor who's like the gossip guy, and he's like, "Oh, we saw a man with Wanda at the funeral. We know him as Mr. Martin Alexander," and he says, like, "Shame on you, Martin Alexander. Let the poor woman grieve." He's like, she's gone through enough losing her husband. She doesn't need to hide any of this sleeping around now on top of this. So then we go to the next page here, and we see like a conversation happening, and it looks like this could be Al Simmons, is what I got from this. We see how he dies. We see a man talking to his wife. We see another individual with, like, a beard, and all it says is someone to hate. And I don't know if it's just me, but that picture on the right, it reminded me of the main guy from Berserk.
Guts? Yeah.
Does it not look like him?
A little, yeah, I can see it.
And then we see him running down like in a army field there, and then we see him just getting burned away to nothing. We see a skull screaming, like a blast going out, and we see like him putting his hands up and his skin being pried off of his body, being burned alive with this explosion here in the military. So it shows a bit of a short little history of Al Simmons in the military.
Interesting note here. Todd really goes in depth about the reporter page, which ends up being like a tradition, I would say, in Spawn comics. You would always see the reporter page. Todd says, like in the notes, that he created that because he didn't want Spawn to give a lot of exposition and talk a lot. He kind of wanted the reporter page to like give the exposition
Explain
on like
everything.
on the world of like what's going on.
Yeah, that's
just
smart.
keep Spawn as like I don't know, like a brooding, like loner type of figure,
like a
not
mystical
talk so
creature.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, because anytime we do hear him in this book, you'll notice it's him just trying to piece things together. He doesn't really know what's going on. He's slowly piecing together his past in this. So I think having him like explain everything just wouldn't work. I think that was a smart idea on his part. And it's a great way of, honestly, from an artist perspective, that's a great way to have a lot of exposition without having to draw a lot.
True, but I also actually kind of really like it. It gives like a different type of flavor to the universe and like how to explain like what's going on.
It makes it realistic in a way where they're talking about this tragedy that happened on a news broadcast. So I like that a lot. Instead of just like being in the head of Wanda or something, I like the realistic aspect where there's like a reporter telling the real story, a drama reporter, a gossip guy who talks about like their outfits and stuff, you know? Like it's very realistic.
It's three different perspectives.
Yes. Yes. Oh, and also in my book here, I have an ad for a Todd McFarlane back issue blowout sale. So you could blow out his back with this. And you can order all of his old issues like directly from like I don't know where this is from Arlington, Texas. They take checks and they take cash. So if you want any Todd McFarlane back issues, Ajax, they're here. By the way, I can confirm they are not selling Spider-Man number 300 still, even in 1992. This next page here, though, this next page reminded me of The Crow. This was a lot like The Crow in the way where he's remembering pieces of her, but all he remembers is how beautiful she is.
Yeah.
And how much she meant to him. He doesn't remember a lot about her. And by the way, she looks way different than how she... that's what I noticed about this book. A lot of these characters look way different than they do later on.
I was going to say, so like in the black and white inks that I'm showing you right now, Wanda kind of looks like Det from DC.
Even in this book, she does too. In color, look, they make her in like a pale white.
Yeah.
And then weirdly enough, that negative picture here, it's cool seeing it in black and white, but it looks wild in color too.
It does, yeah.
But what this page is, he's like remembering her slowly, but as he's remembering her and how much she meant to him, pieces of like hell are coming through as well. And he's seeing how much he promised to come back and fight, and it's all because of her. And then he just gets angry again. And it's funny, like I'm reading this book and I can hear the TV show in my fucking head.
I hear Keith David in my head.
I hear him in my head, dude.
Yeah. Because he's so fucking good.
Like, especially this part where it's like, damn his lies. Like, when he would get those lines in the cartoon, like, he would get those a lot where he just gets, like, frustrated and angry. And he would, like, he would nail it. And I can hear it in my head. I'm like, fuck, this is cool. But, I gotta say, the craziest technique use of panel work is this splash page here where these panels are, like, slowly, like, they're, like, separated, but, like, almost like glass. They look like, actually, they kind of look like tarot cards almost.
Yeah. It's a
like
great looking splash page. It really is.
Oh, yeah. The silhouette of his eyes in the darkness, it looks great. It looks beautiful in black and white. It looks good in color, too.
Yes, it does.
But I gotta say, I love the black and white for this page. It looks great. And this is where we get the first view of the clock. The countdown clock.
Yeah.
Which, as a youngin' watching the cartoon... and flipping through my dad's Spawn books, I didn't understand what the fuck that was. I was like, how does this work? Growing up. And it got to a point in Spawn, I do know it does get to a point where it does get to 0, and then he just stays as Spawn.
Yeah, like it's... Like
they just give up on it.
It's like a staple in the books, but Todd is like, oh, when it goes down to 0, nothing's really going to happen. It's okay. It's like, oh.
And then the next page, we get our first almost complete view of Spawn here. We get a nice face shot here of Spawn. We see the pointy fingers on the gloves, the spikes on the hands. It's a great image there of Spawn. And he's still trying to figure out his information of who this woman is, and he feels like his memories have been robbed. But he knows that if he could find out who this woman is in his head, she may know who he is, and that's going to be his kind of like motivation to find her, because he needs to find out who he is, and he wants to find out who this woman is. Kill two birds with one stone, you know? And I love that zoomed in picture on this black and white one.
Yeah. As I was reading this last night, Gabe, I was thinking, like, would Spawn work better as a black and white book?
I think it would. In color,
compared
it's cool.
to a color book.
So in black and white here, I like the darker blacks. In the actual book, he's more blue.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can notice that.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of blue more than anything. He's like a dark navy color. I like Spawn being completely black like Venom or something, you know? And then the next page is the money shot. Boom. It is great. In the book, it is the iconic image double spread page that we laugh at, but this looks cool.
Yeah,
this works because there's not multiple panels to read, and there's not a lot of words, so it's just a big bam in your face. And Todd talked about this. He said he wanted to, like, it says it here. This is exactly what he said in that fucking interview, too. How, like, he wanted this image to kind of be, like, his statement of Spawn. Like, this was his big, like, reveal. Like, this is the man, you know? and he wanted to make this image a big deal. And I'm glad even decades later he still has that same sentiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a cool image. This is actually the thumbnail that you guys are watching right now. This image is the thumbnail. It's an iconic picture of Spawn. Doesn't get any better than this picture. We got the cool spikes, the cape. Looks really, really cool. And the next page got me so happy, dude. As I'm reading this book, I read this page out loud in a New York accent. I had to. Sam and Twitch, their debut.
So as I was reading this, I was also reading this as the guys that were voicing Sam and Twitch in the cartoon.
Yes.
Because they did a really good job as well.
And I was like, man, you know who also would have been really good as Sam? Tony Soprano.
Oh, James Gandolfini.
James Gandolfini's voice would have been amazing as Sam. How cool would that have been? Like that
great.
New Jersey accent. But yeah, they're investigating this crime scene. There's a lot of deaths going on with all these gangs. And it's funny. They're like, yeah, he said he fell out a window. He's like, through a window? On the 34th floor? Are you serious? Come on now. And they're like, wait, he wasn't killed by that fall? And he's like, nope, it was his heart. And I love how Sam's just like in disbelief throughout this whole thing. He's like, heart failure? And like, yeah, it might have been removed. Removed? Like, he's like, what are you saying right now? This shit is ridiculous. But he's like an old school cop where he's like, yeah, listen, scumbags are dying, so I'm not going to worry too much about it, you know? They're dead, whatever. And I do like this image here, too. I like it better in black and white than in color because it kind of looks like a yin and yang of Sam in all black and Twitch with the white silhouette. In the color book, he's in yellow, but I like because they wanted to keep the color scheme going from the panels, but I like it in black and white a lot more. It looks a lot cooler. And we get a little view there of the Twin Towers, by the way, right under that.
Yeah.
A little view of the New York skyline. And then we cut over to some action. We got Spawn dropping down on some thugs. They are in an alley with a woman, and they are ripping her clothes off, trying to assault this woman, rob her, kill her, do whatever they could to her in this dark alley. And right as they do that, our boy in black, white, and blue, or wait, black, white, blue, and red, he jumps in, and he saves the day from these guys. And these guys, at first, a lot of them are spooked. A lot of them are kind of scared, but one dude's real ballsy.
But as I quote, he says, "Shut up, bitch."
Yeah. And I do like when Spawn, if you look at the next page when Spawn shows up, he goes, "Hey, Shank, looks like it's one of them young bloods."
Yeah.
I laughed. And it's funny, I'm reading this book after reading Nightfall. And I know why they made Nightfall, like, in response to Spawn. And I'm reading this, and I'm like, dog, this page, the page after this, where he grabs Shank by the neck and throws him out the window, I'm like, this is just Azrael Batman. Like, that's something he would have done, 100%.
Funny anecdote here by Todd. He mentions here that Sam and Twitch are going to have a new TV show that's coming out soon.
Really?
This 25th anniversary was in 2017.
Oh, boy. What could have been?
So, yeah, it's coming soon. Is it, Todd?
Yeah, we're still waiting, Todd.
Still waiting on that new Spawn movie as well. Still waiting on that.
I got to say, I heard the new Sam and Twitch. Dude, that's another thing, too. We're going to go to the comic book store and buy a Sam and Twitch book now. I guess their current run is really good, from what I've heard. It's a good buddy cop team up book. It's still gritty and all that, so I gotta.
Because the first run with Brian Michael and Michael Bendis was good as well.
I heard this second run's good, dude. I was at the store and I saw the Sam and Twitch figures, and I'm like, do I? Do I get them? I don't know where I'd put them, but I'm like, I feel like I should get them just because I love Sam and Twitch. They're great. That should be me and Tonight's costume for one Halloween. Sam and Twitch.
Oh, I would pop for that.
But it's funny. So this guy Shank pulls out his knife, and he says, "I'm gonna carve me a super," and then he gets his throat goozled by Spawn, and he fucking throws him out a window, and he just goes, "Bad idea." And he turns around and goes, "Who's next?" And I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, dude." By the way, at this point in the book, Ajax, if you look at mine, see it goes from this page to the intact, beautiful 1992 Spawn poster.
That is a very nice poster.
Look at that. Oh, wait, I have it upside down. There we go.
It is still a very nice poster.
Wow. Look at that. That is intact in here. This is actually, reading this for the review was my first time opening this book since I got it. So it was very cool to go through it. But it's funny, he turns around and he goes, "Who's next?" And he goes, "You crazy motherfucker. Nobody jerks with me." And he goes, "Fat boy, you're way out of your league."
And I read that exactly like how Keith David would say it.
Yep. Because he has like a drawl to his voice where he's like, "You're way out." Like he's it's like raspy almost, and it's cool. Man, I want to hear him do Batman. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, I actually would love to see that.
I would love to hear him do maybe like a Gotham by Gaslight Batman.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I'd be down for that.
But yeah, he like puts his finger out, and like a spark comes out of his finger, and it blows the dude's glasses off, I guess. And then they run away. I'm like, that's interesting. And he walks over to the girl who's horrified, and she's scared of Spawn. I mean, I don't fucking blame her. I mean, this guy's horrifying. He looks very scary, and especially in a dark alley. After being almost assaulted, you're kind of shaken up. But he tells her, like, they're gone. You don't need to be afraid anymore. And she's like, "Please, I'll do whatever you want." And as she's kind of pleading with him, he gets, like, a flashback. Like, he starts freaking out. And I remember this from the cartoon, too. And he, like, starts bugging out, and he collapses, and he screams. And the picture of him screaming, dude. There is so much for a guy wearing a full face mask, he gets so much emotion through with this scream of like the mask being pulled with how much he's screaming. It looks insane. It looks really, really cool.
And Todd explains like in the notes that like just seeing the woman like battered was enough to give Spawn like a flashback to like seeing Wanda again.
Yep. And at this point we cut back, we see the same image. Good old image tactic. They do this in many comics where they take an image and they use it in multiple panels. This is actually, I believe this is the same picture we've seen in every panel of her in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the image is getting larger and it's getting smaller as it goes on. And he's like, and every time I see her, it's always her face. And he's getting a little frustrated. He's like, "Who is she?" Because my memory keeps bursting open and I don't know who this woman is. And then he goes, finally, things begin to crystallize. And then we see the Wanda we kind of know with the short hair. This is the Wanda I recognize.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You remember your funeral, begging and pleading for someone to release you from the darkness, and you're not dead. You can't be." And he says he can feel her soul that's like breaking. He's like heartbroken. He can feel her pain almost in this, and it's heartbreaking for him. And as he's starting to come to, he's still imagining her, and like this is a comic jump scare, I guess, drawn. Because it's her face crying, and when it cuts back up to her, she's like a demonic creature from hell screaming at him, and like the glass shatters in his mind. And he is very much shaken up here. He is like, his hands are shaking while holding this woman, and now she's comforting Spawn. She went from being scared of him to comforting him, letting him know, you're fine. Whatever you're seeing, it's over now. You're okay. You're safe with me, which is very intriguing to see.
The best way to describe Spawn's face is like he saw a ghost and someone ran over his dog at the same time.
Yes, exactly. That's a great way to put it. And you can see this woman's caring for him, but it's crazy. At the same time, you see this poor woman's been through hell. Her eyes are swollen. Her arms are cut up. Like, oh my God, scary. So then the next page we cut through, we got more news updates here. And now this is talking about the gang wars. It's funny, too. You can see the time change. It's been about 5 years since Al Simmons' death. It's now 1992. And all of the anchors have changed slightly in their appearance to reflect that. So CNN is still CNN. They're talking about the gang war that's going on, how there's been 4 homicides going on in 2 days. Makes the 7th gangland murder of the year. And the chief of police, Tim Banks, denies any truth to the rumor of a possible mob war. But they're saying these deaths are something that they haven't seen before. It's kind of just like it's like otherworldly almost, that there's this many deaths for these gangs happening. It's almost unbelievable for these people. Meanwhile, this dude after is like, this is what this city needs. Maybe we should clean up the streets with these guys. This is great. He even says at the end, he goes, who cares? We're killing the bad. Give me a call if you citizens need any help. And then after that, we get another blatant copyright. Entertainment Weekly is right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
ETV, it's right there. They just use the logo. And all this guy's doing is talking about this character, this Youngblood character, who could be a member of the... He goes, I thought the Youngblood got rid of capes. How dare this man? I got to read this word for word. Because this explains Image Comics to a T and their thoughts on superheroes. It says, I mean, let's get serious. A cape? With the Youngblood fashions being all the rage, why on earth would anyone try to bring back such a gauche and total useless accessory? Now those spikes and chains he has, those are simply darling. A perfectly riveting statement.
Nothing describes Image in the 90s better than that.
When I read that statement, I can hear Todd over the booth with Stan Lee and Rob Liefeld drawing spikes and chains on Overkill.
We're going to call him Overt Kill.
Oh yeah, we throw some chains and spikes on there. And Stan's just like, what the fuck is happening?
Stan's like, these kids nowadays, huh? Let the imagination on them.
Stan's like, I fucking hate this. Oh, man. And now we cut back here. I like the contrast of, like, we're cutting to the real world of what's going on and then cutting back to Spawn trying to make way of what the fuck's happening. He's still questioning himself of who this woman is. And he's like, wait a minute. Oh, God. Like, it clicks for him. He's like, she's my wife. I have a wife. Oh, my God. And he's like, I can't remember anything. He goes, I don't know what her name is. I don't know what color her eyes are. But we were husband and wife. He goes, that's why she was grieving at the funeral. It was for me. It was her that brought me back. And he's starting to put the pieces together here. And then at this point, he starts taking the mask off. He goes, I know I'm alive, but I can't feel it. The only thing I feel is this damn costume. Got to get it off. And when he starts pulling that off, it clicks for him. He's like, why does my face feel weird? And then he pulls the gloves off, and he's like, oh, my God, what am I? And we don't see a full image of it. We see, like, shadows. But this man is burnt to a crisp. He is well done.
Oh, yeah.
To say the least. Yeah, he is burnt to a absolute crisp from whatever happened in the military. And right there, we get an image that I've seen quite a bit in the next page of Spawn crouching behind the garbage can and an image of him angrily crying. I've seen that picture so much of him crying. But this is a time when a hero's crying where, like, you feel for him. Because he just found out he has a wife, but he can't remember a single thing about her. He's, like, seemingly back from the dead, and he doesn't really understand that. And he's, like, he looks like Darth Vader. Like, this man is going through it right now. And as he's trying to make way of this, he's, like, whispering to himself. Like, he doesn't know what he is. And as we're trying to figure this out, we see Sam and Twitch again. They're researching all these murders again. And he says here, he goes, and the damage this guy has done to those 3 bodies is friggin' unreal. Wonder how much power this guy has in him. So people are starting to figure out, kind of piecing together that there's this other creature kind of causing and doing these murders for all of these gang members. And we get a little clock countdown here. Now that's down to 995 instead of 9999. So now it's at 9995. I don't understand how that works. Is that like 4 hours?
I'm not. Yeah, I don't get it either.
Okay. I always thought it was as so from left to or right to left. I thought it was hours, days, months, years.
I don't know. And Todd in the notes doesn't really do a good job of explaining it either, because he goes, it was at 9999 at the beginning of the book, but now it's down to 9995. So he used 4 units of power. Okay, but Todd, like, what the fuck? Like, is it hours?
How does the units work?
Like,
yeah.
How do the units work?
Yeah, just because he beat up like 3 thugs. Like all he did was really throw them. All he did for power was throw off a little spark. Besides the rest of
That's
that,
it.
it was more just him tossing a guy out of a window.
He was just brute forcing his way through.
Yeah, like that's confusing. I don't know
Yeah.
how the power scale works. But I've also learned while doing Spawn research that no one really knows how the Spawn scale works. So we're actually not alone with that. No,
The
I don't
joy
even
of
think
reading Spawn comics.
I don't even think Todd knows
No.
how the Spawn scale works.
No.
So, but the next page is a big reveal here as we see someone laughing, talking to themselves, and we see laughing. It says somewhere in time. And it says, Simmons, if you think you've got problems now, I promise your troubles have just begun. And it's the first view of the Violator that we see the in his demonic form. Violator in his demonic form, which I think looks phenomenal. It's a great way to end the book. I love it. So he always does this thing. He did it in Spider-Man also. He did it in this. The way he does like that scratch panel, I love that so much. I do that in my books now. I love that shit. I think it's cool. But what'd you think? That's where the end of issue 1 technically ends. What'd you think of Spawn number 1?
It's not a bad first issue.
No, it kind of lays the groundwork.
It's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty solid. Like, it gives you an idea of who Spawn is. Lays the groundwork down.
It really outlines like his pain. That's what this issue wanted to hammer in.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just some mindless thing raised from hell. Like he is a man in a body that he doesn't know what the hell's going on, trying to remember his past, and he's struggling with it. I think that's a very cool concept.
Boy, does it get more ridiculous as the issues go on.
It does. Well, it's funny. Like I know, like some future issues that like I have that I flipped through and read, but like reading issue 1, it's like, oh, this seems just like not that complicated.
And then it gets way more complicated.
Yeah, he makes it way more complicated than it needs to be. I do see he did include. I'm very happy he included this art piece by George Perez because I have the image in full color here as well. And goddamn, seeing George Perez in his like classic style drawing Spawn.
Oh, it looks amazing.
Very cool, man. It looks amazing. And for some reason in my book, there's an image of Pitt in this also.
Oh, what the hell?
There's just a pinup of Pitt.
Who did the pinup of Pitt?
It is by Dale Keown.
Oh, okay, by the creator. Okay.
Yep. And then at the end of this, we get, the usual letters page. We get the previews page. And it's funny. This image here, Ajax. This image here.
That is technically the first appearance of Spawn. I believe
so. I own the actual first appearance printing of Spawn. Give me one quick second.
Oh, shit.
Oh my god, look at that art piece you just showed. It's beautiful. That Spawn ad is amazing. Oh, I just hit my forehead with my headphones.
But yeah, Todd talks about it here like in length of like this is the first appearance of Spawn, blah 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 type of deal.
Yep. And I own the first thing that ever printed it. And shockingly enough, it is a Wizard magazine. Wizard magazine, Ajax, number 4.
Wow.
Contains this image right here. And you see what that is? It is the first ever... Yep, that picture.
Yep,
it is the first ever printed paper image of Spawn. Right here in this book. And it was an ad. That is what that is. And it's the first time it was ever printed is in here. And that was actually discovered on Cartoonist Kayfabe. And I love Cartoonist Kayfabe, but they made this issue so fucking hard for me to find because of that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because the minute they brought it up, it got Kayfabe affected, and I paid, I think like $25 for just this wizard.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's worth it because not only do I get the issue to complete my wizard collection or go towards completing it, but I now own the first ever printed image of Spawn physically,
Which is, that's a great thing to say.
It's very cool to have. It's a very cool little art piece and piece of history to have. Plus, I got this really cool poster. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wolverine, Sneaky Snook. But yeah, I love Spawn. I think Spawn is cool. I think Spawn is badass. I think Spawn holds up. I wish Todd McFarlane would re-release the original Spawn design as a figure again, because him not doing that is pissing me off greatly. He sold it once as a Kickstarter figure, and he's never selling it again, and I am going to go crazy because I need it. I need it for my collection. I need a Spawn. And even getting the old Todd McFarlane figure of Spawn is, like, expensive. To get, like, just this design, just the regular Spawn figure, it's expensive, man. Like, I have this figure, but it's painted in gold. Or no, it's where is it? Oh, it's see-through. It's the same figure, but it's see-through, and I paid, like, I think I got lucky. I paid, like, $15 for it, but I think online it's, like, a $30, $40 figure. But it's so hard to get. I just want it, you know?
Yeah.
And we're in a cool time now where you can actually buy the Todd McFarlane 2-pack, which comes with his first drawing of Spawn, and with, like, the big eyes and everything, and, like, the big boots. Have you ever seen that drawing of Spawn? Did he include it in this?
Yeah. I don't think he did.
Oh, I'm shocked he didn't, because he loves talking about that drawing.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, it was even before that other one. It was his, like, sketchbook drawing of Spawn from when he was a kid.
Okay.
But you can buy, it's a 2-pack of Todd McFarlane and that Spawn of what Spawn was supposed to look like. Remember the one you sent me? Someone drew him animated?
Yes.
It's that Spawn. Yeah, that Spawn, I think that's cool too. But yeah, I think Spawn, so for someone that was born in 97 and grew up in the 2000s, Spawn was still very big.
Yeah.
My uncle read Spawn. My dad had Spawn stuff, a bunch of memorabilia. But I don't think people really, like, understand. Like, looking back, you can see it now. And I wish I lived through the Spawn craze with all the toys and the countless sellouts of the comics and the TV show being made and the movie and all that. I wish I could, like, go back in time and experience that for myself.
As someone who only watched a TV show, like, last year, I was like, holy shit, the TV show was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. It was probably even better than, like, the first 5 issues of the book, to be honest. That's how great the TV show was.
Man, and I mean, if people, and even people that don't read Spawn but read DC or collect DC toys, every toy you're buying from Todd has the Spawn logo on every single thing. Because all of his gold labels, his McFarlane logo is the Spawn eyes.
Yeah.
So no matter where you go, you can't escape Spawn. Like, he's everywhere. He is a household name. My grandmother knows who Spawn is. My Nana knows Spawn. Because it was everywhere. Like, it was everywhere. And I wish I lived through it. I fucking wish I did. But nonetheless, we're here in a good time where we can look back at it and enjoy it for what it is. I do like this. I think it's a good starting point for any book. It kind of sets the ground level story for him. It's not too much. It's not too little. It makes you want to read the next issue because it didn't throw a lot at you in the first one, you know? It kind of established him as this, like, otherworldly being that is taking out all these gangs to try to find the love of his life. It's a very simple concept at first.
It is.
At first.
At first.
Oh, man. But, yeah, no, my goal, I have this Spawn figure here, and I do want to open it because, but I do, but I don't, you know?
Yeah.
Because I want to open it because the comics are exclusive books just for the figures with exclusive covers and back covers and things like that. In the inside, there's some differences on the inside too. Like the inside cover. And I want to flip through it. I want to look at it myself in my hands, but I'm fighting. Maybe I'll pick up like a Violator somewhere and I'll fucking just open it up. I feel like he's not too hard. Or, sorry, not Violator. I'll pick up a Clown, as he was called in the figure. I'll grab Clown and I'll flip through that book. So, yeah, Spawn #1. Highly recommend. I do like it. Better than Fathom.
Yeah. Fathom is still something that I'll I'll try to like read the later issues and see if I can get into it, but
That seems like something you got to stick through.
really didn't like the first issue. Thought it was boring. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie.
Yeah, I like
That's some
the
really nice art.
nice art, but no, I think Spawn was a good medium here where I see why he didn't want to throw a lot in it because you want to keep reading the next issues. It did flip by really quick while reading it though. It was a very quick read.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to doing more Image #1s. Like I'm looking forward to
yeah.
when we do like a Savage Dragon #1, like a Shadowhawk #1.
Absolutely.
Like, that'll be fun to do as well.
Wildcats, Youngblood, we got a lot we can do.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, we're hearing about all these Youngblood folks. Might as well review them eventually.
Eventually.
We've talked about Youngblood and Wildcats enough. We're gonna have to review that in the future.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to our one shot. Remember, on our next issue of Monthly Dive into the Longbox, issue number 21, we will be reviewing Generation X, the movie, which is considered a movie, but it's kind of like, wasn't it just like a pilot for like the season or whatever? Like an hour-long pilot? Yeah. But
it was a pilot, yeah.
It went nowhere, so it's just considered a movie now. And then on the next one shot, we're going to be reviewing Generation X #1. So it'll be a Generation X special. We're going to go from Spawn, which was a very high-selling book for Image, to Generation X, which was another high-selling book for Marvel. So it'll be very cool to look at exactly why that was a high-selling book for them. So I like looking at that perspective to see why people were going crazy for this. A lot of the times it's just speculator market, but a lot of times you get some gems. So I'd be very excited to see what it's all about. And thank you guys again for listening. We appreciate all of you. We're getting towards the end of 2024, Ajax. Coming up on our anniversaries in a couple months again. So we're already on going into issue 21. It's a little bit away, but you know it's coming up quick. Our first issue was an issue back in what month was this? I don't even know what month this was.
I forget.
It was in February. Holy shit! We're coming up on our 2-year anniversary.
Oh my god.
What? That's nuts, dude. Didn't we just do a February episode? What the hell?
It feels like it.
That's wild. We did. Our 2-year anniversary is coming up in like 3 months. Oh my god. Well, thank you guys for rocking with us for almost going on our 2-year anniversary, however long. We'll see you guys then. Take care and have a happy Halloween.